A Whole New World is an interesting 8-bit retro-style throwback game that comes off as a bit of a mix between Mega Man and Ghosts and Goblins. Is this game worth your time though? Find out in this episode of Gleez Reviews. So before we get into this review, I just want to let all of you know that all gameplay is captured through the Nintendo Switch, but you can purchase this game on all major gaming platforms, including Steam. So A Whole New World begins in a town that's being overrun by bad guys, and the Potion Master is the only one who can save the town and ultimately the world from this evil. The story is rather basic and on par with most old retro NES titles. This definitely gives a feeling of nostalgia, and the art style complements this feel as the game looks and plays like an updated HD NES game. The atmosphere of this title is on the dark side, but at certain points the developer uses colors to make the game pop. The use of color or lack thereof is pretty well executed as you make your way from level to level. The gameplay is simple, kind of. Get to the end of the level, defeat the boss, and move on to the next level. Seems simple enough, right? Well, there's a bit more to it than that. In order to make your way from the beginning to the end of the level, you have to transcend between the regular world and the upside down world. To access the upside down world, basically you have to fall into a pit. Now in most games when you fall into a pit you die, you're dead, but in this game it just opens the world and shows you just how deep A Whole New World actually is. You get it? A whole new world? You have to jump into the hole. A whole new world? You get it? It's like a word joke. Anyway, in the upside down, the gravity is reversed. So basically the world's trying to pull you up rather than down. The gameplay mechanics overall stay relatively the same in this area, but it does make for some interesting and unique challenges as you move forward, going from the regular world to the upside down world in order to figure out puzzles and move your way to the end of the stage. There's also quite a bit of weapon strategy in this game. At the end of each level, similar to Mega Man, you acquire a new weapon from the boss you just previously defeated. These weapons allow for real-time strategy and on-the-fly toggling through your different loadouts. Now, certain weapons are best for specific areas, but in most cases, the weapon that you just newly acquired is going to be the best weapon for the level that's coming up. The game is rather challenging, even though it follows a linear landscape. The enemies and level design create interesting challenges and will probably lead to you getting frustrated, but that's okay. I trust that you can do it. The bosses are rather big and quite cool. Most of the difficulty with the bosses come with learning their patterns and understanding their movesets, what they do, and how to counter them. Overall, I'll say that the gameplay is very nice and it definitely has a retro style feel and a sense of nostalgia. What brings the most nostalgia is the music. The music definitely takes the cake, and let's listen to some of these tunes right now. That 8-bit awesomeness is great, isn't it? So we talked about the good, let's talk about some of the bad as far as this title goes, because we know that not everything is just all great. So the Steam version of the game allows for a retro style filter, but the Switch doesn't have that option. It's a small thing, but something that I definitely would enjoy. So after you beat the game, you can play both a boss rush mode and a challenge mode. Now this is where things get pretty dumb. When you initially start the game, to access these modes, you have to go into your story mode files and load the game that you beat it on. Once you do that, it then allows you to access all of these modes. Now, if you only had to do that once, I would understand. But every single time you die in a boss rush mode or in a challenge mode, you have to load the same game over and over again in order to play those modes. Rather annoying. The worst part about these modes is the fact that in the challenges mode for the Nintendo Switch, at least in my experience, the game just doesn't read my controller. I'm not really quite sure why. I can't move, I can't shoot, I can't jump, I can't do anything in the challenge mode. I can play the boss rush mode, which is actually a pretty cool mode, but for whatever reason the challenge mode doesn't work. I have to literally go to my home page and load another game in order to get out of it, and then load a whole new world again. This is something that needs to be fixed. The last thing that I don't really care for in the game is the fact that it forces you to use the analog stick and it doesn't allow you to use the D-pad. I'm not really quite sure why they went with this option. Most games that are retro allow you to use either or, but for whatever reason on the Switch, I can't use my D-pad, and that sucks. Now, despite these rather big problems, overall I am pleased with the title. The story mode plays well and is a great nod to retro-style gaming. The levels are satisfying and the bosses are pretty cool. The upside down area gives the world depth and allows you to create some unique and interesting gameplay experiences. For under $10, I think that just the single player campaign is worth that amount of money. So even with the other mode not working quite as it's supposed to, I feel like under $10, you're getting a pretty good mode as far as the story mode goes and the boss rush mode, and I still think that for under 10, it's worth it. So I want to thank you for checking out this review of A Whole New World. If you played the game, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think of the title. I would definitely be interested in hearing it. So as always, I want to thank you for checking in. It's Gleez signing out. Don't forget to subscribe and continue to game strong.